Oscar Bevis, IFL TV MTK Global, delighted to be joined in the Matchroom residency, the second sort of Matchroom residency stint by Mr. Eddie Hearn. How are we, Ed?
Looks nice, doesn't it?
Well, do you know what? It's like built and built. Obviously, I wasn't at fight camp, but this is better than before. So it's like you're just building and building.
See, you see nice things, I see money. All of a sudden, you know, these neon doorways and stuff like that. You know, we have a very big team now at Matchroom, and we have a creative team as well. And they're like, you know, they've brought in chandeliers. I mean, I just recognise those. Hilton Wembley definitely didn't buy those chandeliers. I want to know how much they cost, and why is all the bulbs on all the time? Who's paying the electricity bill? So, but you know, they tell me that the look and feel is important. So we're smashing it again. 12 shows in 8 weeks in 7 different countries, and starts this Saturday live on Sky Sports and DAZN. Fight
purse is down for the rest of the year, then maybe. I get an idea. Well, a day and a half in, really. The bubble's not going to be as lively as next week. This bubble, quite relaxed. Josh in good spirits as well. Beat Lara and this Kanzu. Is it that simple?
Yeah, I mean that's the aim, and I'm nervous for this fight because I spoke to Juan Carlos, my friend at Zamfa Promotions this morning. He was telling me, you know, this Lara, he's coming to win. You know, Navarrete says he's the big puncher he faces in sparring, and you know he looks great. Banana skin for Josh. We know he is the #1 featherweight in the world. We know he's one of the biggest stars in British boxing, but he has no fans there on Saturday. And you know, it's something else when you go to a Josh Warrington fight. You know, and you've been. It's mental. And this guy is a real great role model for British boxing because you know you see fighters come out of the Olympics or with great amateur pedigrees, they get the big contracts. This is a guy that Steve Wood built on the small hall shows. You know, I think you followed him around. You said you watched, was it the Chris Mail fight, you know, many years ago. And I remember, you know, him coming to Hull fighting on our show against Samir Mamoun for the Commonwealth title as the away fighter. You know, and he won the title that night. And, you know, he's been tremendous. You know, his fights with Lee Selby, with Carl Frampton, and he wants to fight the best. And just get through Maurizio Lara, and then he can deal with Kanzu, Gary Russell, Navarrete. All of those guys would make for an incredible 2021.
I do just want a quick word on Lara, and shout out to my old mate Kieran Simpson, who's doing well with the translation. Sometimes when you translate from these fighters, it's very basic. It's, I'm here for war, thanks to the promoter, blah, blah. But Lara's got something about him, like he's come across really well.
He's a good fighter, and he's here to win. So he's got pedigree. You know, when you get calls and texts from sort of the media in Mexico, which I've become very friendly with now because of the Canelo Alvarez deal, they know him. Do you know what I mean? Like normally you might say a fight, oh, we brought this Mexican over. Do you know this guy? Never heard of him. Oh yeah, we know El Bronco. Good fighter, tough guy. I'm like, shit, really? You know, I was looking for a bit of an easy night for Josh, but it won't be. It won't be an easy night, and particularly early in the fight, he's going to be very, very dangerous. So, you know, I just see at the press conference today from Josh sort of a realisation that, all right, I need to switch on here because it's going to be a tough fight.
Do you look at Josh as someone who could go down as not just a British great, but perhaps one of the top 5 British greats of all time? Because you talk about Navarrete, Gary Russell, Kanzu. If he beats Lara and beats them 3 in a row, we know it's never that smooth. I mean, surely he goes down as a British all-time great.
Yeah. Do you know what it is, Oscar? That I think when you're as popular as he is and you sell as many tickets as he does, sometimes people think you're a bit of a gimmick. But the way to counter that is with a resume. And already his resume is outstanding. You know, he's ranked #1 Ring Magazine champion. He's beat Lee Selby. He's beat Carl Frampton. But if he goes on to the victories that you just stated, yes, absolutely go down as one of the greatest British fighters of all time. You know, if he goes through Kanzu, Gary Russell and Navarrete, wow. I mean, and then moves up, could fight Jojo Diaz, could fight Pachelt, could fight Valdez. I mean, and he can travel. I want to see, once we get out of this mess, I want to see Josh Warrington at MSG. I want to see him in Vegas. And, you know, I'm gutted that he's behind closed doors because we had Headingley booked and it was going to be unbelievable. But we are where we are and we need to move forward.
Just a quick one on the rest of the card as a whole, couple of pullouts, nothing you ain't really seen before. But Zelfa and Kiko, banging fight. Liam Reese, banging fight. Really good night of boxing, actually.
Really good. And of course, the main 3 fights are all great. Warrington, Lara, Kiko Martinez against Zelfa Barrett, great fight. You know, Zelfa pulled it out the bag last time against Eric Donovan, but was in trouble, you know, was losing the fight. And he hasn't shown yet that he's a world-class fighter. Kiko, former world champion, we know he's getting on, looks fresh as a daisy, by the way. And I think now he's not struggling at the weight. He remains dangerous. And I think right now, if he was boiling down to feather or even super bantam, you know, it'd be very difficult for him to fight a fighter like Zelfa. But if he still has the strength, if he still has the ability, it's going to be a tough night for Zelfa Barrett. I love Lee Wood against Rees-Mogg. British title fights like this are great, and Lee Wood's kind of gone from a young prospect to kind of like a established domestic fighter through the golden contract. Yeah, but the war with Jazza Dickens and so forth, and now you've got this young kid in Rees-Mogg who's looking to make his name. Great fight. Love the fight. Dalton Smith's got a good fight. Ishmael Ellis, Hopi Price. And by the way, Ibrahim Nadeem, even on Facebook against Johnny Mental Phillips. That's a really tough...
Is that his actual nickname, by the way? All right, yeah, his new nickname. Yeah.
Johnny Mental. I love Johnny Mental. I think he's great. And it's a really good night of boxing from top to bottom. We all know next week is something very special. With Kelly Avanesian and Charlton against Marku, and Jordan Gill against Juarez and Robbie Davis Jr. and Johnny Fish. It's a great card next week. And it's going to be lively in here. Really lively. That's what we love. And like I said, this week starts 12 shows in 8 weeks, 7 different countries, and just pinching ourselves to see what we're achieving right now in this global pandemic.
Andrade-Williams, I was going to say a bit of purse bid chat, but a deal was agreed before purses, which I suppose, it's a positive to see cross-platform fights and things like that, but perhaps even more of a positive to see that terms were agreed beforehand. Just tell us a little bit about the talks, and we finally got it. It seems like it's been rolling around for a bit.
Yeah, we made offers. We've been making offers for about 6 months, but they weren't good enough apparently, and we had to drive the money up, and they did a good job of doing that. And glad to get that fight made. It's difficult to win a purse bid when you're on the end of a 75-25 split. So we put a deal together that everyone was happy with. Great to move forward, and you're right, it's good news for boxing. Everyone was sensible, which is always good, and I think it's a great fight. You saw my announcement yesterday on social media just saying it was done. You see the numbers, and this is probably a bigger fight in the UK than it is in America, because people aren't giving Liam Williams the credit in America. Oh, he's fighting this guy, another bum. It's like, what are you talking about? Liam Williams is a good fighter. This is a good fight for Demetrius Andrade, because Liam Williams is a lunatic, and he's going to turn up, he's going to shout his mouth up, he's going to nut him at the weigh-in, and he's going to try and win for 12 rounds. And I don't believe he can, but good luck trying to prove us all wrong. But it'll be a fun fight, tough fight for Andrade, whichever way it goes, and I think he can really showcase his skills in there.
I'm going to quickly look at this on my phone because I forgot the guy's name. Andrade, do we take this seriously? He said he's going to fight Baron Corbin. No, he's just taking the piss.
Yeah. I think is he a WWE guy or something? Yeah.
I know he's mentioned the whole cross-sport sort of thing before, but it's Andrade-Williams. It's happening.
Andrade is a little bit quirky, but this is the fight, and we'll announce the date early next week.
Felix Cash and Denzel Bentley, will that happen? Obviously, cracking fight, we'd love to see it, but we know, Felix was in your plans for one of the April shows, I believe you said, and, European title against Signani, but, wouldn't mind seeing that at all.
No, it's a good fight. He is due to fight Signani for the European title, but I do think that the Bentley fight is a good fight. I bid for that fight, and we lost the bid for that fight, so, Felix now has the decision to fight for the European title or to fight Denzel Bentley. I think if you ask people watching this which one they prefer, it's a domestic fight every time. But it is a big opportunity to fight for the European title. But I'll be sitting down with Felix and Tony Sims and deciding what to do.
And you know how it goes. You spoke to AJ yesterday, a match from HQ. Update?
Just great meeting. Talking through a few final bits of the big undisputed fight. Bob told me not to talk too much about that fight, so I won't. Only that we know we're closing the finer details of that fight. He's in a great place, training really hard. He hasn't really stopped camp, to be honest with you, since the Pulev fight, and just can't wait for this fight, and I hope to give you all some good news soon.
I saw a little Twitter discussion actually, and it was like, talk about the agreements that will have to come from both sides, and perhaps might have to make sacrifices here and there. Will there be a lot of like cross-platform and cross-promotional gloves are off sort of stuff? Like, do you remember you and Higgins for Parker? Will there be a lot of that sort of stuff and a lot of the added content as well? Because obviously it's a fight that deserves and needs it. So will there be a lot of that other stuff cross-platform? We're
going to absolutely milk the granny out of it, aren't we? We're going to make this fight collectively. And of course, this fight is all about Fury and AJ, but also it's about me and Aram and Frank and, everybody else involved. And every big fight has a story. And there's so many different storylines in this fight. But ultimately, it's, what matters is the fighters, and you're going to see just the most outrageous marketing push for this fight, because you're going to see a lot of different broadcasters involved, and everyone's going to be pushing this fight. you know, we know this is the biggest fight in boxing, but I do really believe this could be the biggest fight of all time. You know, it's the undisputed heavyweight world championship, two great fighters, two heavyweight world champions, two Brits, two completely different characters, and, you know, good news, bad news, it's all coming, and it's going to be something that we'll never ever forget.
Can't wait. Devin Haney, someone mentioned you, a tweet about Linares being 4-0 up against you. Kevin Mitchell, Luke Campbell, blah, blah. But he's going to take on Devin Haney from what I'm seeing online, Garcia Fortuna, Haney, Linares. Is that how it works out?
Maybe. I mean, look, we still want Ryan Garcia. You know, we don't see why we can't make that fight.
Is that through Ryan, though? Because he seems to be calling out everyone, even people outside of boxing and outside of UFC now.
You said it. Ryan is mandatory for Devin Haney. The Zone want Haney v Garcia. The only person that doesn't want Haney v Garcia is Garcia.
We're not saying that's because he's ducking him, though. Is that just because perhaps now he's got this stardom, he's looking for so many other financial options, or are you saying that he is avoiding Devin?
You can say, listen, if he ends up fighting Tank or Pacquiao, no problem. If he fights Fortuna for, I don't know, quarter of the money, he's going to fight Devin Haney, is that ducking? I don't know. Someone else can make up their mind. The team don't fancy the Devin Haney fight. You can make in all the excuses you want. Oh, he's not as big a name as, you know, the money's there. So we'll see. But, you know, Devin must have a big fight next. And Linares is a big fight. It's not Lopez or Garcia, but it's a big fight. And, you know, he's got to keep winning, keep looking good, and we're looking to finalise Devin Haney's fight, but probably the end of April, in the next couple of weeks.
And just one final one from me. Someone messaged me to ask you about this, actually. They were looking to see if they could watch Parker Farr on DAZN UK. DAZN responded and said you can't, but you can?
We're working through that at the moment, so yeah, it's likely that will be on the DAZN Global service.